Alright everyone, time to make another video about Sonic's power. Now I already know I did a video covering the massive extreme bald interpretations about Game Sonic's feats in my previous video, but this time I'm going into way more detail specifically on his time traveling feats to see if he can really time travel like the Flash. Which sadly I thought the last video should have been enough, but it's too good to be true because people will still praise a character like a religious relic. Now for the people who countered or attempted to counter my original Sonic video, I like how most of them that attacked my points only countered the ones about Super Sonic, but not my points about Base Sonic, because most to all of my points on Base Sonic in that video were irrefutable, and talking about if he could time travel in base form was one of them. Now to quickly answer the question, can Game Sonic time travel at will by himself? Well, short answer, no. To explain the answer, I will first have to recap what I said in my previous video and then go into further detail. Hyper-buffing fanboys claimed that Game Sonic can time travel like the Flash, and one video that specifically said this was the biggest no limits fallacy video ever about Game Sonic. He said this:
"This isn't the same as a Flash feat where Barry or Wally runs through time, as Sonic's been able to do that since Sonic CD.
I explained in my previous video that according to Sonic CD, Sonic doesn't do this at will. He used special time warp plates, some that travel to the past, and some to travel to the future, which lay around in certain spots in the stages. When Sonic goes through them, he has a limited amount of time to use the power of the time warp plate by running fast for a certain amount of time. I stated that if people that try to pull the game mechanic card, which they did and I will get to that later, I explained that where Sonic CD takes place is Little Planet and it had temporal anomalies on it because it was home to the Time Stones. This would mean that the reason why Sonic is able to time travel in Sonic CD is because of the temporal anomalies, which the time warp plates are very likely to be a factor. If the warp plates weren't there to begin with, then there would be little temporal anomalies shown during Sonic CD rather than the boss stages. Regardless of the existence of the time warp plates, it does not prove how Sonic can time travel at will, because in Sonic CD, how he time travels is achieved externally and not internally. To completely back up how Sonic cannot time travel by himself at base, I used Sonic 06 as an example, which has a cutscene of Sonic needing and using Chaos Control to time travel to the past with Silver to save Elise. That should have been more than enough to prove that Sonic cannot time travel by himself at will in base form. But unfortunately, just like all the fan bases, there will be those who put massive faith on a character that they will just make up the most absurd and stubborn theories and lies to try to negate everything said without having any evidence for themselves, to the point that someone would simply say Game Sonic is God, and these obsessed fanboys would believe it without any actual confirmation. I'll show these examples with a conversation I had with a very obsessive, desperate, lying Sonic fanboy. In one comment thread, which I'm not going to show where it is, neither the initial comment, his response to a Sonic vs. Flash comment says, "Sonic can time travel." I respond with what should be obvious by saying Sonic used time warp plates and also used Chaos Control to do it. He then lies about Sonic CD. I also use another example that is not the same as time travel but similar to it by using to what other Game Sonic fanboys like to use to hyper buff his speed, by saying only his speed distorts space when the special generator in Sonic Rush is required to do it. This fool's following comment is the new lie and fallacy that I predicted in my video that fanboys would use. He uses the game mechanic card, and he tries to say that the special generators in Rush are just used to rotate Sonic around, which is ironic for two things. One, because extreme balling Sonic fans think that the distortion is caused by himself alone and not the generator because his speed is mostly used to power the generator for it to make a portal. Two, he contradicts himself about the existence of the special generators compared to what he's saying about the time warp plates. Plus, what he says about Sonic time traveling is a lie because there is no evidence to back that up, because the manual does not say that at all. I explained to the fanboy why Sonic in CD was able to time travel and how the warp plates are very likely to be one of the temporal anomalies. Again, temporal is a fancy word for time. I also mentioned Sonic 06 proving that Sonic cannot time travel by himself. I also explained his irony about the special generators. He then says the obvious reason the temporal anomalies exist being the time stones, which has nothing to do with my last comment. He then makes up an outrageous, evidentless, bullshit reason why Sonic time traveled the way he did in Sonic 06 rather than CD. He's saying that Sonic can time travel with only his speed, but he did it a different way by using the Chaos Emeralds to do a more accurate time travel. Which proves that he's stubborn and losing the debate because the cutscene does not say anything that Sonic needed a better way to time travel. nor did it say that he could time travel by himself. He then makes an irrelevant false equivalent statement by saying, "This has been confirmed countless times in which Sonic beat other Emerald users," which doesn't prove how Sonic can time travel by himself at base. I asked him to show evidence how Sonic can time travel without the posts. Repeat the point of the warp plates being one of the time anomalies. I state the truth why his point about Sonic's requirements about time travel in Sonic 06 is wrong, then tell him that all the moments of Sonic time traveling are conveniently showing him using external sources to do it. I again reiterate the irony about Rush's special generators. He then simply says the storyline doesn't acknowledge the warp plate's existence, and for some reason he thinks that automatically means that time travel is in Sonic's arsenal. Okay, that makes as much sense if I said that Doom Guy or Doomslayer can activate invulnerability at will at any time they want, just because the storyline doesn't mention the existence of the power-up. That is the first time I heard something like that, and the worst bullshiz I've ever heard. That is a new fallacy which I will call the reverse confirmation bias. Even one guy on YouTube who disagreed with the last Sonic vs Mario death battle knew what is and what is not in Sonic's inventory, and even he did not use that fallacy. I tell him the specific location of the time anomalies, which is Little Planet. My third paragraph further proves on top of my Sonic 06 example that Sonic cannot time travel by using the post-final boss cutscene in Generations where he says,
"Still warm. Time travel."
I mean, why would Sonic say this if he could time travel by himself? He repeats his lie about time travel being in Sonic's arsenal when none of the games nor manuals say that Sonic can do it at will in base form. He repeats the same dumb lie and dances around the reason why Sonic used Chaos Control in 06, then says, "Ask the developers," which shouldn't even be necessary while he's making up lies and excuses. I tell him to show other games that show Sonic time traveling by himself, tell the truth in my second paragraph, and state that he misinterpreted my point about the Generations cutscene. His next comment shows major hypocrisy and irony, repeats his false excuse about Sonic 06, and I like how he says he doesn't know why Sonic used Emeralds in 06, which means he's desperate, playing dumb, or he is dumb. This shows that I'm winning. He then makes a non sequitur fallacy, saying that going light speed automatically grants time travel, which is false. He then falsely compares my points to saying Goku never destroyed a planet so he cannot destroy one, which is completely false. What I really brought up is the requirements of certain feats being achieved, which is true with my comments. I tell him his comparison of my point is false. I tell him he made the burden of proof fallacy multiple times at the start of the argument by not showing any proof why Sonic did not time travel in 06 like he did in CD. I tell him why his Sonic 06 feat excuse is BS, and bring up another example from Sonic Mania by mentioning Tails, Knuckles, Mighty, and Ray, because one of the end of the stages showed them going through a time warp plate, which I forgot to mention in my comment. I then reiterate my point of the Sonic Generations cutscene, which he still misunderstood. He then strawmans my argument about the Goku quote, then lies by saying that I am denying despite the evidence supporting my side more than him. He repeats the game mechanic card, then cherry picks what exists in Sonic CD's storyline. Then to prove that he's lost the debate, he makes a stubborn quote saying that he doesn't need more evidence. He then shows he's never played Sonic Mania before, then says the non sequitur fallacy again by saying faster than light grants time travel, which again is false. He then again ignores what I actually said about the Sonic Generations cutscene. I should stop reading, but let's keep going. I tell him that if Sonic could time travel by himself in CD, the gameplay would have the time travel activated via the controller rather than passing specific warp plates in specific areas, further proving my point of how Sonic time traveling in base is external. I tell him he needs to show different examples, because his arguments are a dead end without any game nor manual quotes saying he can. I mentioned one game saying he can go light speed, yet nothing about time travel. He repeats his stupid argument of the warp plates, accuses me of lying despite the evidence supporting my side and going against him. He shows lack of grammar. He still does not back up his Sonic 06 argument. Then his second paragraph, I'm guessing he's talking about the theory of relativity, which only goes to the future, not the past. He then has the gall to say I'm repeating myself, which is ironic and mentally stupid since I brought in new points, yet he constantly says time warp plates don't exist and Sonic didn't need emeralds in 06, which again, no evidence suggests any of those things. I explain his utter hypocrisy of the warp plates by re-mentioning the special generators. I tell him to watch the Sonic 06 cutscene because nothing was ever mentioned there about Sonic time traveling by himself, as well as any of the other games.
Elise!
Wait. There's still a way to change this. If we return to an earlier point in time, we'll be able to save her.
I understand.
Chaos Control!
I also bring up how he says the warp plates are not confirmed in the storyline, yet the same is said for the power-ups that lay around in the stages. Then give him a summary of his point. This is where he permanently lost. He then throws insults. He repeats what he said about the Sonic CD warp plates with a reverse confirmation bias fallacy, which is also the appeal to ignorance fallacy. Makes a false claim about the warp plates existing would have time travel to be instant, which is irrelevant and it's not as good as my activated by controller point. He makes more stubborn quotes saying, Sonic or other characters don't have to mention Sonic having the ability to time travel. He then says he's now ignoring me because the one who loses the debate is the one who ends the debate. I then give him a list of what proves me right and what he needs to do, which he can never do. I tell him, not one character said that Sonic can time travel at will. I tell him that the warp plate's existence is irrelevant and how he time travels in base is external and not internal. I tell him to show where a character said he can. I tell him he made an excuse about Sonic 06 without proof. Then tell him his irony about the warp plates not being acknowledged when the same is said for other items. That was my final nail in this fool's coffin here. Everything I said are true facts and proves that this fool's excuse not to show more evidence of Sonic supposedly being able to time travel by himself in base is just that, an excuse. A stubborn excuse. Anyone who does something like that is pathetic. To sum up all the examples of Sonic time traveling is shown with external means being used. There is no cutscene nor manual info where Sonic or other characters saying that Sonic can time travel like the Flash. Do not jump to a conclusion about a game mechanic being a willingly activated ability being inside a character's inventory just because the storyline doesn't mention it. Stop being stubborn to refuse to show evidence to counter other examples being shown to you. The summary is that Sonic cannot time travel at will in base form. He can't. Just deal with it. Especially for one other thing. Going up to the developers is nothing more than a cop-out. It is. Because they say, even before fans come up to them to give their calculations, even fanboys will go up to them to give their cherry-picked information. Before that happens, the developers clearly say they do not know. I mean, I myself would never go up to the developers because that just bothers them. And this also happened to the DBZ developers, so do not harass the developers. Now, one guy in the same comment section came in. He didn't say that the warp plates did not exist, but he said that they were made to keep Sonic from destroying the environment. He said it like this: oh, Sonic can time travel, but he would destroy the world if he did, so the warp plates were made to handle his speed, just like how the Speed Force protects the Flash and the environment from being damaged. Which is another baseless claim, as there was nothing mentioned in the manual nor the games themselves saying that is a function of the time warp plates. Because one, they are called time warp plates, not power handling plates, nor environmental destructive power moderator plates. Secondly, that is an inconsistent argument, because if Sonic does travel faster than light, as most people claim, and since he has the light speed dash, Sonic's speed would have already destroyed the environment. And third, again, in Sonic Mania, a time warp plate exists for all playable characters. No one can simply say that they all have this willing ability to time travel. However, that is going to be it. I swear, a lot of fanboys, I'm not kidding, there are a lot of blind, obsessive fanboys. This is already shown by that first guy who blasted my first Sonic video. One of them admitted that they went to a Sonic forum and posted my video there. They constantly take simple little vague things in the games, make overblown explanations about them, and claim it as correct. They are just like religious zealots, and all they can do in my videos is that they just whine, cry, and scream the words, "Oh, you're a down player, you're a lowballer, you're a Sonic hater, you just can't handle the fact that Sonic is fast." Look, attention to all fanboys, not fans, fanboys. It's not like you are simply saying that Sonic is fast. You are trying to say that Sonic has magical powers, has universal speeds, and has godlike strength. Me deconfirming something by proving a quote to be a fallacy or a lie? That does not even fit the textbook definition of lowballing. What I'm doing is myth busting. You have the nerve to scream the word lowballer when you guys make up lies to highball Saw? You know what? Calling you highballers is putting it mildly. Less than mildly, in fact. What you guys are doing is not even highballing. You are extreme balling, you're hyper buffing, or as the Death Battle fans like to say, overwanking. Overwanking Sonic to the highest degree. Do not scream to the developers to bother them, because when in actuality, they do not care. Do not bother them. Stop. To end it here, absolutely nothing out there says that Game Sonic can time travel at will in base form, and my video and the games themselves prove it. That is final. My next Game Sonic video will be about overblown quotes in the later future. So I will tell you guys one last time, either show evidence or back off. Or as Sonic said to the character Infinite in Sonic Forces,
Time to put up or shut up, Infinite.
So get off your damage control, accept the facts, and deal with it.